We're going to start with Camilla. And as I said, Camilla is a rising star on the CX front. She's been doing this for some years with her own company. So Camilla, can you come on in? So Camilla, great to have you here. I know you're an enormous amount of energy and enthusiasm. You're going to share all of your ideas with us here. So I would just say to you, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Good morning, good afternoon, or even good evening, depending on where you are joining from. Thank you so much for joining today, for joining me, for being here. Thank you. Special thanks actually to SDI and XLA for the opportunity. I can tell you that it's always a pleasure to talk about experience. I think you can feel it, right? As Alan mentioned, but particularly when we talk about how to transform experience, how to transition from support to strategy. This is what kind of drives me the energy, the fuel of every day. So it's a very pleasure to be here. And I want to start by, let's begin actually by addressing what may hold us back in that transition. Let me just change here. It's actually the old mindset. Once we think about IT, and when I was getting prepared for this presentation, I asked a few folks in my network, what is the first idea that comes to mind once they think about IT? And what they said is, they fix issues. This is the mindset that still lingers. And this mindset is quite limiting, right? It's kind of a reactive, and it does not position IT where it actually belongs, because I am pretty sure that you all here would agree with me that IT is way more than fixing things. But what is that way, what is that way more, right? And why do we still, people in our network still think that IT is just about fixing issues? If it's fixing an issue is not the role anymore, what is this? And this is actually the new mindset where IT empowers outcomes. That's when we transition from being seen as a support department, a support driven, to a strategic partner. But you may say, Cami, this is too much theory. So we need to better understand. Give us some examples. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So let me bring a topic here that you may have heard about it, which is artificial intelligence. Just kidding. I'm saying this because in CX, AI is definitely the hottest topic of the moment. Think of artificial intelligence. Think of a company that is rolling out a platform of artificial intelligence, which I believe is kind of happening quite often nowadays. In the old mindset, where IT would fit in, giving credentials, right? You have a new platform, people need access to it, so we need to give credentials. What is the new mindset? How do we go from being these static supports to become more strategic? Think of me as one of the stakeholders. And if I need access, so IT can partner with me and say, hey, Cami, why do you need access to this platform? Say, oh, I'm going to use this artificial intelligence to write emails, to do, I don't know, to run presentations. It depends on the platform. But I will go and share what is my need as a stakeholder. I do not have the knowledge that the IT team does on how to get the best out of this platform. So instead of limiting IT to just provide credentials, which is very much needed, and maybe we can automate this nowadays, we go beyond. We go beyond on understanding what our clients actually need out of this platform. And we add value by putting ourselves in their shoes and adding the technical knowledge that you from IT, you have it. That's how we transition from being seen as a simple support department, as a cost center, to a strategic partner. And why? Because closing a ticket is not enough. right? We need to drive growth. We need to enable growth. And your technical background can definitely do that for stakeholders, for individuals, but also for organizations. Because just fixing problems is the old mindset, and we do not want to be there anymore. We really want to be seen as that strategic partner that enables growth and enables success. That's the new mindset. That's when we actually go from sitting and waiting for a problem to arise to actually enable the next step of that particular organization. And if you zoom out a little bit, going from individuals to organizations, right? Because in this example that I just gave, it's about someone, an employee that needs access to a platform. But if we really want to enable success to organizations, to your clients, how do we approach this? As an individual, organizations also have their goals. It can be expanding internationally, it can be growing revenue, scaling, profitability, efficiency. So every single organization has its own goals. If we start from there, let's assume here that we want to scale. Starting from company's goal, we can work backwards and see what are the systems, what are the platforms that we currently have available that could help that particular organization to be more successful or to deliver the goals faster and smarter. So instead of limiting ourselves to the more administrative part of IT, we do the other way around. We actually see what is the pool of solutions that we have, and we offer those solutions to the leaders of that particular organization to help deliver faster and smarter that goal. This is with actually, that's when IT stops sitting in a support seat and starts standing as a strategic driver, right? Going from waiting, sitting and waiting and having a seat at the strategic conversations. This is the transition from the old mindset that unfortunately still lingers, still permeates our network to this new mindset. And it starts with us. And in order to see how we are kind of engaging with this new concept, now that we have discussed this old and new mindset, how to approach IT from a completely different perspective, I want to ask you something. Try to put yourself in your client's shoes. Try to see you from your client's perspective, from their eyes. How often do you feel that IT is seen as a strategic partner in your company? Try to from their perspective, okay? So do you think that this is always, so there you are consistently viewed as a strategic business, sometimes occasionally included in strategic discussions, rarely, mostly seen as technical support only, or never? You were purely seen as a cost center. Let's take a few seconds to answer. So we have a very high concentration between sometimes and rarely. So first of all, thank you very much for your engagement, for answering. As I said before, it's important that sometimes we step out of where we are and we see things from our client's perspective, from outside, right? So it's not us looking just inside, but us looking to ourselves from outside. Let's move forward. So, what if, let me shake things a little bit. What if I tell you that solving the wrong problem fast is still solving the wrong problem? How do you feel about it? I wish we could have some voices. I know we can't, but this is actually to challenge a little bit. And I want to give you an example. I recently transitioned out of corporate. I was in corporate until last year. But let me kind of picture a scenario here. Imagine that I'm still in corporate and I have a meeting in 1 hour from now. like this presentation, right? So an hour ago, I was preparing myself for being here with you all. Everything was set, my presentation was done. I was just kind of a fine tuning, getting ready for being live, and all of a sudden, my computer glitches. This could be the same situation and me preparing to meet a very important client of an organization that I have been chasing for a while. But all of a sudden, things that I do not control, my computer just glitched. What do? I go to IT. I'm going to open a ticket. And then IT opens the ticket and tells me, hey, Cami, we got your request and we work with a 3-hour SLA. But my meeting is in 1 hour. I have no other option than just breathe, right? The right moment is approaching. And even though I was ready a few minutes ago, that is no longer the case because my computer is not working. Fast forward, my computer got fixed 2 hours after I opened the ticket. What happened? I missed my meeting, right? The one that I have been chasing, or the opportunity of being live. I missed that opportunity. Not sure if I will have that opportunity again. So imagine if here say, hey Alan, hey SDI XLA, I won't be able to be there. Last minute, most likely next time they wouldn't reach out to me. But what about IT? IT would have closed the ticket in 2 hours, 33% faster than expected. So a big win from IT's perspective, based on the SLA that is established. But once we look for the business as a whole, me missing the opportunity of meeting a very important client that I have been chasing for a while, it's a big miss for the organization. So that's what happens when departments, they define success in silo and they chase their own KPIs. So from IT standpoint, somewhere, somehow, that SLA was defined. There is nothing wrong. And they were celebrating because they were able to solve the problem for the client 33% faster than expected. But that operational KPI does not tell the whole story, which is me and the organization missing the opportunity of not meeting that particular client. So the whole point here is same situation, right? Exactly the same situation, but two different outcomes. And why? Because we are seeing things from a completely different perspective. We are not taking into account the moment, the timing. This is us in the old mindset chasing our operational KPIs and still be seen as a support department and not necessarily as a strategic partner that actually understands the business needs and work around to make it happen. We are not being seen as a growth enabler. We are not being seen as a department that actually empowers success. I would say that in that particular situation, we would be seen as the opposite because the meeting was within an hour, right? So closing a ticket is not the same as unlocking growth. And this is what is really, this is the key for us to transition from the old mindset to the new mindset. Because being technically correct is not enough anymore. We need more. So what is more? Actually, success. Success is the new metric. But which success? Cami, I fixed your computer in 2 hours instead of three. I was successful in your department. But as I said before, if we look this from the perspective of the organization, the organization as a whole was not successful because we were chasing that particular client, or we had to be live in about an hour and we were not able to. Okay, a lot of theory. So how can we do it? right? So let's leave this presentation, let's leave this moment with something actionable. And let me tell you something. I personally don't like having anyone coming to me and say, "Come, do this, this, and that." I like people sharing with me their thoughtful process. Teach me how you think, and then in my world, I will see if it resonates, and I will apply it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to share with you how I would approach. And I do hope it resonates and you can apply this to your world. First of all, how do we define success for IT if it's no longer chasing the metrics that we are used to? The very first step is solving problems. That is the base of the pyramid. Because whenever something is broken or not working, we expect to get it fixed or replaced. So we cannot just eliminate that part. What I'm telling you is that this is not enough anymore. So fixing problems is the old mindset that cannot be eliminated. We have to add on top of it. So what else? So the second one is the strategic alignment. What I mentioned before. What is the goal of that particular organization? How can I help with that goal in a more strategic way by assessing all of my pool of solutions here and combining this with my technical background to help that particular organization to be more successful, faster, and smarter? And last but not least, what truly or really sets you apart is making your client success your own success. That is what differentiates support teams from strategic teams. And just to be clear, I am not telling you in any shape or form to get rid of your operational metrics. They are important. This is what's going to tell you or help you manage the floor operations. But this is not all, right? We need more. And I used to manage a big team, a 300 people team until December last year. And I was checking how many tickets, how quickly are we answering the phone, what is the average handle time. But this is the operational part. This is the base of the pyramid. I truly need to connect this to the business goal. Increase revenue, drive more referrals, improve efficiency. It's not one or the other, but we add on top of it. So the very first step I would suggest you to do is taking this approach. How can I use everything that I already have to be more successful? In which way? By helping the organization reach their goals faster and smarter. And what else? The second one is how to align with your business expectations. And here I want to give you another example. I love examples. So the example is I said, I used to manage 300 people until last year. And my support team used to work 24/7. Reason being, we were in the hospitality industry. So overnight, I was supporting bars and nightclubs, a very important segment of my book of business that would only contact me overnight because that's their hours of operations. So my team had to work 24/7. However, IT used to work during regular business hours. So imagine the following. I have a client contacting us during the overnight, 3 a.m., right? Their system is down or they need help with printer. And the same situation, the computer is glitching for that analyst. But in that case, there is no one for them to reach out because it's in the middle of the night and IT works during business hours. Remember the exercise that we did of putting ourselves in our client's shoes? Put yourself in the shoes of this analyst that is there working at 3 a.m., fully trained, ready to help our customers, but he or she just can't because the tools are not working as the way it was expected. It's frustrating to say the least, right? Because there is nothing that can be done. And on the other hand, you have that client waiting to be supported, to have for us to help them. That's the situation that I used to live. So the second step, or the second approach I would suggest you to do, is actually to align with the business expectations. How does your client operate, right? What are the working hours? When do they need you the most? What success looks like for them? Because most likely what happened in that situation, that happened many, many times, was that on the following day, IT would get to work and they would prioritize my ticket. In their world, they were doing absolutely everything right. But what about the organization? Were we supporting all the clients in the way that we said we would? No. And I don't want you to think that I'm asking for more. I don't think that all departments should work 24/7. But what are the tools that we can use, that we can put at, uh, that we can offer to our analysts to be successful? It's not about more effort. It's actually about the right effort at the right time. And that's the tricky part, because sometimes we say, oh, we need more, we need 24/7. No, not necessarily. I just need all the departments, the different departments that I partner with, to partner with me. Okay, and I do hope that it makes sense with that example that I just shared, which leads me to the next poll. But now, instead of us being the client, we are actually the vendor. So you kind of heard me talking about redefining success. You heard me talking about aligning with the business needs. So the question that I have for you now is, do you know your clients' critical business moments, when IT can actually make or break their success? Yes, if a clear understanding of your client's critical moments. Mostly some key moments, but it could improve your awareness. Not really. Limited visibility when your clients need you, and no idea. It speaks for itself. Let's take a few seconds. Okay, so we have 35% yes, fantastic. You have a great understanding of when you can actually help your customers the most. 52, mostly. There's some opportunities to improve. Not really, 13%. Okay, so you heard me talking about redefining IT success, going from solving issues to actually putting your client's success as your success. Second is how to connect to the business needs, when you can either make or break their success. What else? Okay, we are good with the poll. If we can come back. Yes. So what else is actually your experience? At the end of the day, we are all clients. When you call your mobile carrier, when you do grocery, we are all clients. So we do know what it takes to delight a client, because at the end of the day, we are a client as well. So it starts from there. How would you feel? How would you assess the experience if you were the client of your service? What would you expect from IT if you were the CEO of the organization that you were supporting? With that, what kind of insights you can have, not only because you're putting yourself in the client's shoes, but because you're also bringing your technical background to the table. When you combine the two, how can you apply to help your client be more successful? And that's exactly what's going to take you to excellence. So, to bring it all together, the formula, the success formula here, if we can say success formula, is combining technology, all the tools that you know and you have available, with your clients' insights, connecting with them, understanding their goals, how to help them to reach their goals faster and smarter. And combining this with providing a good experience by putting yourself in the client's shoes. When you combine all of those things, you're going to drive the best impact. That's when you actually transition from being seen as a support department to a strategic department. And just for us to wrap things up, for us to go from support to strategy, don't wait anyone to do that for you, because it actually starts with you, right? You've been the client, you are the client, depending on that, on the situation. You've lived the gaps. You already know what great feels like because you know this combination. So you know how to transition from the old mindset to the new mindset. The old mindset will not go away by itself. It starts with us. So now I do hope that it resonated and you can use this approach to apply and create your own standard. And I'm just grateful for having the chance and the opportunity for being here. Thank you so much. And let's be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cami. I love the tagline at the end. In a world of choices, experience is why they stay. I love that. I love that. So thank you very much, getting us off to a super start. If you have questions, put them into the question box. You can see it on your screen. If you have any questions for Cami, let me know. Some of you will also see that what Cami was explaining is very similar to the XLA stack, where we talk about a defined experience, which is really talking about the sentiment, how people remember their interaction with you, your product, your service, and how that maps out to operational data and technical data. And I think you did an excellent job of explaining how those things come together, also for people that have never thought about it that way before. And as always, you bring the fire, Cami. You bring the energy. I certainly
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So, so I have one question here that I want to ask you, and that is, when you talk about emotional intelligence, right? That's it's a different game for a lot of people who've grown up in support and in technology. How do you cultivate emotional intelligence within your teams so they can better understand and align with client expectations, especially when turning personal experiences, as you said, you're going to turn them into strategic service improvements?
Absolutely, great question. And I saw that there is someone talking today about employee experience. Everything starts with the employee. In my last employer, when we strategize on how to improve support, before asking them or suggesting them or coaching them on how to deliver a better service, I start by improving their experience. That's, to me, it's leading by example. Because in a situation, for example, that they have at home, with kids, with partner, or things are going around them that is truly disturbing, if you do not have a support system for them, they won't offer this to your clients. So that's, to me, emotional intelligence. I always like to go from theory to execution to real life, and everything starts with your employee. And it's not just when they have already joined the organization. It actually starts when they start looking for, potentially applying for a job or a role with your organization. How is that experience? How do you treat? Do you provide feedback during the hiring process? Do you kind of give them confidence that what's going on throughout this process, because that's exactly what we expect that they do with the clients. When you cannot solve at first contact, what do we expect them to? Oh, keep your client updated. How am I going to ask this if during the hiring process I did not do that with the employee?
Excellent. I love it. I love it. So, Camilla, thank you so much. Long live CX, available on Amazon. Go buy it, go read it. I'm sure the energy transforms into the book. So, thanks for spending time with us, Cami, and I hope you can make it for the roundtable.
I'll do everything I possibly can. Thank you so much. Have a good
Okay,
one.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.